After one of my fellow teachers lost his mind and went off on a group of students outside of their school in China, one of the students asked, "Why does he work here if he hates Chinese people so much?" Hearing this story the next day, it made me think. I'm sure he, who is in a relationship with a Chinese woman, can't hate Chinese people. Then upon further reflection, I began to wonder about all of the other foreigners living in China and how they have similar tales on what really bothers them about Chinese people. I coupled that notion with the idea that most teachers last about 2 to 3 years in China before they must get out. I wondered, what would make someone who wanted to live in China want to leave in such a short amount of time? So I and my wife began to create our own independent lists. As we went through our days, we kept our phones handy so we could jot down whatever bothered us about being in China. Our lists are still growing, and we've decided to share them with you. Not as loud, not as good. Wasn't a good pour there. Yesterday's pour was much better.
Yeah. Maybe Scotch
Can you hear me now?
Maybe Scotch doesn't pour the same as wine. Alright. Myself situated here.
Alright, in the comfy chair with the Scotch whiskey.
I'm getting my list. You got your list?
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing randoms or are we choosing a number?
It's up to you. My suggestion is to keep track of where you are in your list.
That's why I started at the top.
Oh, I'm just going down my list.
Oh, me too.
I've just put in the thing. This is show number. This one was done in show. What show it was done in?
Alright.
That's all I'm doing. Should put the date. So 13.
Okay.
All right. Here we are. Back to the list. You tell me, what do you want to do your thing first, or do you want me to do my thing first?
You can go first.
I don't know if I want to go first.
I'm really interested to see what your number 2 is.
Well, they're not ranked in any kind of way. They were just as they happened. So, my number 2 was definitely, it probably didn't happen to me at that moment. It probably occurred to me that it was something I didn't like. So, basically, walking around or someone, does a thing and you get the inappropriate smile.
It had to
Which
be one of your
just... No. It might have happened actually being at the bus stop or something. But I don't think that this one, when I wrote it down, it was just me making a list of things that bother me.
All right.
Now, this is not a purely Chinese thing. Even though our list is about why people don't like Chinese people after being in China, it's still not... It's not
exclusive.
It's not. No. Our list is exclusive to China, but this is not exclusive to China because my dislike of this started in Thailand, the land of 1,000 smiles, and I retermed their famous phrase, to the land of 1,000 meaningless smiles, because they basically redefined what a smile means. And in Thailand, a smile does not mean what we think it does. It has little to no meaning. I've seen people who were angry with each other smiling. I've seen people who were about to fight with each other smiling. I've seen people who were not sure when they saw me on the street, and they would just give that weird, uncomfortable smile thing that people do, but they were smiling fairly large. I've seen people smiling when nothing was around and they weren't listening to anything. So it's the meaningless smile that gets under my skin, I think, more than anything else. It's not like it's not the same cultural cue. And that's where then it becomes bothersome. Now, in northern China, I did not see this.
Right, I was going to say we didn't experience this.
It didn't. It was not there. They if someone smiled, it basically carried the similar meaning as what we have in the West. I feel uncomfortable, so I smile at you.
Right.
Or
I
actually recognize you and I'm smiling because I'm happy to see you. I mean, the smile had real meaning, and it was in northern China, it actually had the same meaning as what we were used to. So it never occurred to me until we got to Thailand. But here in southern China, they behave culturally the same way that they did in Thailand. So I'll have a student sitting in class, and we will be telling them that they need to study harder or get their homework finished or whatever, and they will be smiling at us the whole time. Tell the student they need to study harder because they did very poorly on this test, and the student takes the paper and is smiling about their failing grade, like a 10 or 15% out of 100. These are situations where you should not be smiling, and they are, and it bothers me. Especially inside of school, education. But this happens on the street. It happens when you're walking around. People will do something that is fairly, it doesn't warrant smiling, and there they are, smiling at you. And I'm not one of those people that tends to smile back. I will look at you and try to figure out why are you smiling? Because there's no situation that warrants the smiling. Okay, so that's my number 2, the smiling thing. You got anything on smiling? Do you enjoy being smiled at from people who have no reason to smile at you?
I think after living in Thailand and dealing with that nonsensical, infuriating, meaningless smile, I just tend to ignore them now. I find that here I ignore much more than I would have our first 2 years in China. We're in year 6 abroad, year 4 in China. I just don't care anymore. I just look at them like, whatever, you moron, and move on. Now, if I were in a classroom every single day like you, dealing with older children, high school students, it would probably infuriate me as much as it infuriates you.
Oh. Now, don't think that I'm limiting this to just the students, because the teachers do it too. The same teachers that don't like us, that tell us that they don't want us there, the ones that will, behind our backs, say all kinds of things about us, and they don't think that we should even be in the school. Right. And they walk by and smile at us.
Yeah, I just want to smack this
So
shit
there's something different. There's something else going on there, and it's like you look at them. It's like you didn't even. I mean, don't smile at me now that I'm in your face. But 5 minutes ago, when I was trying to get a meeting with you,
right,
you couldn't do it because you didn't want to talk to the foreigner.
Right.
Because you were too good to talk to us.
Yeah.
So, but as soon as that moment was over, and I walked to class and I see you in the hall, now you're smiling.
Because they're in public and someone else may see them, and they don't want the rest of the people to see what kind of asshole nonsense they pull.
Yeah.
That saving face bull.
Oh, we're not. Is saving face the next thing on your list?
It is not.
Okay, then let's not do that one yet.
Okay. Take a sip. Go ahead. Take a sip.
Come on. I don't have anything more about that. This is definitely something that, for me personally, stemmed from Thailand. And I would tell my students, because I had students that were very young, first graders, and I was breaking them of that habit of just smiling, because in our culture, you can't just walk around smiling. You can't do that. People will not trust you if you're always smiling all the time when there's no reason or no apparent reason for you to be smiling. Now, if you've got your headphones in and you're listening to a show or you like a song and you're smiling, most of us will kind of decode that. We'll find it. We'll see you doing a thing and go, oh, that's why they're smiling. Or they must be doing this. Or maybe they thought of something, but that smile usually dissipates. But here it doesn't.
Well, also the smile usually reaches their eyes. And when someone smiles in your face but their eyes are shooting daggers at you, the smile is pointless.
It's definitely the meaningless smile. Here in southern China, the meaningless smile is definitely as alive as the meaningless smile in Thailand.
I don't know that the smile is truly meaningless.
Oh, I think it's either...
It's just they use it as a disguise.
Well, it's a disguise, and they're hiding something, usually. They're hiding their true feelings, whatever that true feeling happens to be, positive or negative.
Right.
But it's a way of putting that outward face that is supposedly pleasant for everyone else to look at, but it's not. It has no actual meaning. It's like most things in China. It looks good on the outside, but as soon as you get underneath a little bit, there's no substance. Okay, well, I won't talk about that though. What you got?
Okay. So, yelling and pointing at me in Chinese isn't a good idea when I can understand you.
Okay, but do you think it's a good idea if I can't understand you?
No, absolutely not.
Because I don't understand most of the people in Cantonese. There's very little that I'm going to understand that they're saying. But they still look at me and point.
Yeah, they do. However, I think that you just don't hear them, because most of the time when people are pointing and shouting at you, they aren't speaking Cantonese. They're speaking Mandarin. You just ignore them so much now that you don't even hear it.
Well, I'm usually, if I'm out, say, on my way to work or something, I have my headphones in. I don't listen to any of the people around me. But that started back when we were in Benchi.
Yeah.
I stopped because you get, people walking by and just saying, hello! And then you turn to think, because you hear someone speaking English, and you turn and you look at them and you're like, who just said that? Where did that come from?
They probably were in a car driving.
They could have been in a car, on a bike. It didn't matter. They just said hello, and now you're looking for them. And if you happen to find the person that actually said hello and you say hello back, then they just start giggling and walk away. They're just saying hello because they know that they could say hello in English,
Right.
But then they couldn't say anything after that, or they weren't willing to say anything after that. And so then there you are just waving or whatever. So I stopped. And walking to work in Benchi cured me of thinking that someone was going to speak to me. So coming down here, I don't listen to anybody. I absolutely don't listen to anybody. I basically do not ever expect. My kids might be calling my name and I will not hear them walking around downstairs with no headphones. If I don't see them, I probably won't hear them, because for me it's all just white noise, which there's a lot of it out there.
Right. But for us, well, especially for me, because I understand so much of it, it's really aggravating when, you know, you have grown-ass women on the bus pointing and yelling, oh my gosh, look at, she's so white, she's so fat, oh, is that a boy or a girl, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it really is just like, sometimes, just to be snarky, I answer them in Mandarin. And then the look on their face is like, oh crap, we just got caught.
Yeah, but do you think they actually care?
I think sometimes they are embarrassed, because if they said, like, oh my god, she's so fat, look at her, and they don't expect me to understand, or they say something about the children and I respond, then they're like, oh my goodness, you know, they're really truly embarrassed because the people around them heard what they said and they also heard my response. So there goes your, you know, they can't save face at that point.
I'm not talking about saving face.
There's no avoiding it. We'll have to get into it at some point, but it drives me absolutely bonkers. Because you can't get away from it. I mean, we've been in, I don't even know how many cities at this point. And it's happened in just about every single one, including Hong Kong and Macau.
Well, Hong Kong is very good at hiding its Chineseness, but then it reminds you that it's in China.
Well, it reminds you that it's in China, but there are also so many Chinese tourists in Hong Kong, especially this time of the year, that no matter what we do, we couldn't escape the nonsense. You know, maybe during an off season when Chinese people aren't traveling as frequently to Hong Kong, it would be different, but I haven't really been there yet when it doesn't have a bunch of tourists.
And we also went to a very touristy place. We went to Disney, so.
Yeah, and I had been to Ocean Park before, which had a lot of tourists.
But they are, I think it's interesting that they are so amazed that foreigners are in their country. That's the thing. I think that's the most bothersome, is that their amazement. Now, in Benji, I could understand there were like a handful of foreigners in this city. I get that.
Right,
it was a small city. Exactly. So I get that. 100%. If you go to any small town anywhere in the world and somebody looks different or speaks a different language, has a different culture, dresses differently, yeah, I get that. I get the wonder.
The novelty.
Yes. But we're just outside of Guangzhou. There are lots of foreigners in Foshan. I mean, just at my school alone, there's at least
20.
Yeah, almost 20 of us. So, and add on top of that, you and the kids. I mean, and the people from, and it's not just Americans. So you got people from all over the world that are teaching.
And they live in our apartment complexes.
I know, but they're
so it's not.
They're always around. It's like. I mean, it's not like even the billboards. The billboards have foreigners on them.
Right.
Now, they're the same foreigners that teach at the school, but they're on them and they're around.
Yeah.
So where's the wonder when we walk by or walk up? It's like, you know, just like the little girl today, you know. Okay. She intentionally turned the corner and walked toward me. She didn't walk around me, but then screamed and feigned that
she was scared.
That idea of being afraid and ran away screaming and giggling, you know, because of the foreigner. It's like, I think that fake reaction is most of the problem.
Well, and they encourage that fake reaction. They think it's cute.
Yeah, well, that's another problem.
They think, you know, you have adult women hiding behind their husbands or falling into the bushes to get away from the foreigners. You just want to smack them in their forehead. Like, what in the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that also goes into my third one.
What is your third one?
Yes, I can speak some of your language. I've lived here a long time. I can communicate, bare minimum, but I can communicate and get what I need without help from a Chinese friend.
Okay, so what do you...
They always
what is your issue? Why would a person be angry about this? What is the issue here?
Well, the issue is here they're yelling at me and calling me all these things and saying all these things about me, but then they are shocked that I can actually answer them and I understand them in their own language, and I don't get it. If you live in the U.S., we expect that you learn some English over time. Why do you think that we aren't smart enough to learn your language as well?
Well, I think you just said it.
Smart.
They don't think we're smart enough to know some of their language.
Right.
And
I mean,
it's just, and you know what, that goes into, say, doing things like going to a restaurant, eating with chopsticks as well.
Oh,
how many people sit around and gawk at us when we're sitting at the restaurant, we order the food comes, there's no forks on the table, and we sit down and we all, our entire family sits there and eats. And then everybody sits there staring at us because we're eating with chopsticks. It's like what else would we be eating with?
Yeah.
I mean, you're eating with chopsticks.
Why wouldn't we?
I know, there's no fork. Of course we're going to eat with chopsticks.
I'm not picking up hot food with my fingers.
But I think it goes across most of the culture. This amazement that they think that we don't understand them. Now that's a whole nother thing, but that I run into that all the time. That, oh, you're a foreigner, you don't understand. And a lot of times that's just not true. A lot of times the foreigners do understand. A lot of times the foreigners did their homework. They learned about China before they came.
Yep.
Or
you learn about China as you go.
Sure, but the expectation is that we're not going to learn. But I don't understand that. We're teachers.
Right.
For the most part, that's who they're dealing with, are teachers.
And we actually, and I've done this year after year after year now, we actually have more cultural knowledge than they do. If you ask them, why do you eat dumplings for the New Year, they can't tell you. Why do you give the Jonza to, during Dragon Boat Festival? They don't know. They just know that it's something that you eat.
And they also know that it's something that you do. They know they know the practice, but they don't know the reason why.
Right.
But that's also a whole nother problem inside of Chinese culture, that they don't know why. They don't ever really ask why. I run into that every day in my classroom, trying to get them to ask me why.
Right.
Because I'm always asking them why. So, it's my number one question. I teach it to all of my students from day one. My number one favorite question to ask: why? And I try to get them to understand that, but they don't do that inside of Chinese culture. It's not evident that they do it at all. And from what I hear from my students, they're not allowed to do it.
Well, they aren't. I've been in classrooms where I've taught kindergarten, and I've done the primary schools, and I know for a fact that if a child doesn't understand and they ask the question, they are punished and they are berated and they are made to be felt stupid. So they just don't say anything. They'll maybe ask a classmate, but they certainly aren't going to ask the teacher, because the teacher's already puked out the information, and God forbid she has to say it again.
Yeah. I get that all the time. I wish there was something else that happened in the lower grades to make students understand, especially anybody who was planning to send their child abroad. Because that plan does not start when they hit high school. That plan starts when they're little and they're sending them to those extra classes and all that stuff that we taught. So because they're planning this and they're thinking about this when these children are preschool aged or kindergarten age, then it seems like they would pick different schools for their children that would allow questioning and asking, and because that's the very thing that they have to learn how to do to be successful later on.
Well, and let's clear something up, because as Americans, we say preschool and kindergarten, and they are two separate entities. They are, the age 6 weeks, 8 weeks to age 5, and then the kids go to kindergarten, which is a part of the elementary school system, and then they go up. In China, children start at kindergarten at age 18 months, and they are there until they're 6 or 7 years old.
Yes, but what was your youngest student in your classes that they were not in the school system? What was your youngest student?
My youngest student was 2.
See? So their parents are thinking about these things and trying to prepare their children for matriculation outside of China. Well, they are not doing this for getting their child ready to go to university in China. That's so important to understand. They have a long view of their child's education.
Yes.
So they're looking at this like they're 2. I'm going to start spending this money and putting this down payment on their future.
Yep. I mean,
now.
I had a child at the kindergarten who I also had at the training center, the learning center, and he would translate for me. He was 5, 6 years old. He would translate for me in his classroom because his teacher couldn't. That child could probably go to middle school outside of the country, and that's what his mother was working towards. She wanted to send him to either Canada or the UK to go to middle school, high school, and university, and not have him in China. But because of his English level and the fact that he spent so much time with foreigners, it was really hard on him in the Chinese classroom because he asked questions.
Right.
And he knew more than the teachers when it came to the English language. He could write it, he could read it. The Chinese teachers could not do that. So some of the parents, and this was a public kindergarten, some of the parents were, making sure that they started young, but where we worked in Wuhan and here, they don't think about that stuff until high school, when the kid hasn't passed the test to be able to get into high school.
Exactly. Then what we've encountered in Wuhan and here in Sanshui is the students that are looking at going abroad are the ones that could not get into the good high schools, and so then because their Zhengkao scores were so low, that meant they weren't even eligible for the high schools, or they were just low and they were going to get into a high school that was not desirable. And so then they went and said, okay, then we'll do a different type of program where we go to high school for a short amount of time in China, do another 2 years or 3 years in America, or 1 year, and then go off to community college or university in some cases.
I think we should probably back up. In China, at the end of middle school, they take the Zhengkao. That score for this...
Okay, what is the Zhengkao?
The Zhengkao is the national standardized test for grade 9s, right?
The end of middle school to get into high school.
Right. If the student does not pass that test with a certain score, they are not allowed to go to a public high school. They can go to
They're tiered.
Right.
They're tiered. There's from the best school, the number one school. You'll hear a lot of Chinese students talk about the number one school. They go from the number one school down to however many schools there are, and of course, all students want to be in the number one school. So if they don't get into the number 1 school, they may start looking for other options.
Right.
Because they don't want to go to the number 2 school or the number 3 school or 4 or 5 or whatever is in their area.
Right. Or some of the students know they won't do well because they didn't do well in school, period. So they don't even take the test, and their parents then put them in a private school like yours, like Aaron's, and they get ready to ship them out of the country because they know that if they didn't get into a Chinese high school without that junk house score, they can't get into a Chinese university.
Right. Because at the end of high school, they have to take another test called Gaokao. And that's the one you hear in the West about students doing a lot of cheating and all of that. That's the test that they're taking at the end of high school to be placed into universities in China. And if you don't do well in high school or you didn't do well in middle school, you basically aren't going to have an opportunity to go to university in China. Or if you do go to university in China, it's going to cost you a ton of money. That's the other side of this.
Yeah, but a ton of money is relative.
No. It's going to be a ton of money to go to the lesser schools. It costs them more. If you get into Peking University, your cost is lower than if you go to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th tier schools in China.
Yeah.
You pay more for being dumber.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just, oh, you got a scholarship, oh, but you didn't get a scholarship, so you're like everybody else that didn't get scholarships, and we all have the same rate. It's not the same, it's not like that. It's, oh, this university is a 3rd tier university, and so this is the cost to go to that school.
Right, you have to pay 15,000 yuan a year versus 10,000 or
Exactly.
12,000.
It is definitely tiered that way, and the worse you do on that test, the more they punish you with how much the school is then going to cost. Unfortunately, the other side of this is if you are educated at the university level outside of China and then come back to China to go to work, you're preferred in Chinese companies over those people that went to Chinese schools.
Right.
So from a parent's point of view, it makes more sense for them to send their kids and spend that money to send them away to the US, to UK, to Australia, to Canada, and send them out there so that they can learn all in English, even though they're going to come back and they're basically not going to use the English again.
Right, unless they're in a big corporate situation.
And their job is to translate, because they're really, unless they just deal with foreigners all the time, they're going to come back and they're pretty much going to be Chinese again, and they're going to just speak in Chinese.
They're going to be Austin.
Yes. They're not going to use what they learned outside of
Right.
China, because China will culturally will reject whatever it is that they bring back.
Yeah. Now, then you have students like Aaron's best friend who can't wait to leave the country and plans on never returning. And he's been saying this since we met him, and he was, 9-10 years old. And he's in high school now, and he is adamant that once he leaves China, he will not return. His English is amazing. He speaks like a native speaker, so I don't doubt that he won't return.
All right.
What's your number 3?
Number 3.
Since I did my number 3.
Oh, you want to know what number 3 is? Let's
Yeah.
see here. Let's go to the phones. Number 3.
Ooh, I like it when you make that face. It's
Number
really good.
3. I wrote, Chinese people who get in my personal space.
Oh, let's talk about this one, please. Go ahead, you're first. It's your topic. But I have that one too.
I'm rubbing my head. Chinese people get in my personal space. Okay. I think part of this might have to do with my coworker who thinks that he must stand literally shoulder to shoulder with me just to have a conversation about anything if we're happening to be standing next to each other. Now, if we're in our office, we're pretty much sitting at our desk, so it's really not an issue. But if we're standing anywhere else, I have to move him. Now, I've taken it upon myself to try to help him a bit and try to teach him some of the cultural norms, the things that we find offensive, that Chinese people don't find offensive, so he understood a little bit better, so that he didn't do those things that would elicit a negative response. So I did this over the last year and a half. I won't do it anymore.
Did you not teach him to brush his teeth?
We did not. I did not talk about his chronic halitosis. But
you should talk about that. Trying to kill me in the car, Aaron.
Am I red or like? Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. The idea, though, that I need to, what we consider being up on somebody, that you need to give me a foot. Give me a foot all the way around. Okay. Now, this is somebody that I know. I work with him. It's somebody I see him literally every day. But here's my biggest problem with this is not the people that you know that might feel some camaraderie with you or want to be close or whatever. No. I'm talking about that stinky person that's at the bus stop next to you. That there's no reason for that person to be next to you. There's no reason for them to have walked by you so closely that they bumped you when there was 4 to 10 feet of empty space on the side of you that they could have walked through, and you could have still said good morning, you still could have said hello, they could have just done a smile, but they're not going to bump into you. But the idea that people, Westerners, we have a bubble around us. Do not get in my bubble unless I want you in my bubble. And honestly, if you got chronic halitosis or you're showering once a week, I'm not going to invite you in.
Yeah.
It's one of the, now this is definitely one of those things that a lot of foreigners have a problem with.
Yep.
That they complain about when we're together with other foreigners. I've heard this so many times about people in China that they just will not back up. You know, no, I'm not going to whisper at you. No, I'm going to have a conversation with you, fine. But it's going to be a conversation, and yes, other people might hear. And that's usually what they're trying to do when they're talking, is trying to not let anybody else know what you're talking about. Because as soon as you start talking louder, then they want to stop the conversation and move on somewhere else.
Right.
They're trying to hide. They're trying to make it look like. And I've seen it so many times when teachers talk to students outside the classroom. I've seen it when managers talk to other teachers or whatever. They get right up on top of each other and they're essentially whispering at each other so that no one can know what is being said. And then as soon as we come around, we speak in a normal tone of voice, in a business-like manner. Other people might actually be able to hear, and usually we're not saying something that is going to blow smoke up the other person's ass.
Yeah.
So then they feel bad. Okay? And just back up. Just back up. Get off my shoes. Do not walk next to me down the street. Do not hold my hand to go across the damn street. I can cross the street on my own. I've been doing it for a long time. You're not protecting me from anything. Okay? I can do this. But they do this. They do this thing where they think they're helping. And it's not helpful. It's not something that's going to be comfortable. I'm sorry, but intimacy with people I don't want to be around is not going to ever feel comfortable. So. What do you want to say about personal space?
Okay, I have an entirely different bubble. Because I'm a mother, because I'm a preschool teacher, my bubble's pretty much gone. Like, people, could walk right up on me and I'm okay.
Right up on you. 3 old ladies in the middle of winter in Benchi in an elevator.
Oh, no. But that's only because they haven't bathed in a couple of weeks and
your bubble's still gone?
That's my nose and my personal...
But your bubble's gone?
No,
bubble ain't gone.
My olfactory system is not gone.
Your bubble ain't gone. You want that bubble to be thicker. That's your problem.
I do. But what I have issue is when we're traveling, even if it's just to the supermarket, but when we're traveling and...
10 minutes of that travel.
Right? When we're traveling and they see you, they're looking at you. They see you're along the same path, and they just won't move.
Oh, you want them to yield.
I want them to step aside.
You want them to see that you're coming and yield.
I want them to see, because if they don't, I am done. After this last summer of traveling, I'm finished.
That's hilarious.
I mean, I've had experiences because I'm short. I'm 5'2", so I'm short. And there was a day I was on my way to work. I'm walking across this crosswalk. There was ample space in this crosswalk, and this woman had her handbag on her shoulder with her thumb latched in the handle and her elbow out, and the heifer hit me in the face. In the middle of the street, she elbowed me in the face. She didn't even pause. She knew she hit me. There's no way she couldn't, because I staggered. She hit me so hard. But she didn't pause. She didn't apologize. She didn't say excuse me.
Now nothing. You want politeness on top of personal space.
This was when we first arrived. We've had people step on our shoes, so your entire shoe comes off, and they say nothing. They almost knock you over. When we were in Disneyland for Keek's birthday, they let only a certain number of people on the ride at a time so that everyone has a seat. This mother and child were running to get into the car and almost knocked me off of the ride and said
But
nothing.
Is this a matter of personal space or a matter of rudeness?
Well, they go hand in hand.
But they don't.
For us, they do. Because
but you could step into someone's personal space and you could say, "Excuse me." But you seem to be talking about rudeness, general rudeness, what we consider as rude that Chinese people do not consider as rude.
Well, I don't have the issue you have with the holding of the hand to cross the street.
Man, if you touch me, you's a dude. Look.
Wait.
This just happened.
He tried to grab your hand?
No, it just happened where he was right up on me. I moved him and he moved back. He almost got kicked in the freaking head.
I think kicking him in the head might actually help.
Because why are you up on me?
Yeah.
You're a guy. I'm a guy. I'm a straight guy. I don't know what you are yet because you've never had a girlfriend before. But at your 20-something years old, I'm sorry, but we don't walk around holding hands and grabbing each other and being on top of each other. I'm a married guy. So if you're interested in me in that way, I'm still not flowing. I'm not doing that with you. Okay?
Well, and I know exactly what you're talking about with him because the one day he came over and he sat down on the sofa next to me and he was touching me.
That's personal space.
And I'm thinking, why are you so close to me when there's an entire other sofa?
A whole
sofa open. Why are you sitting on my space, touching my body? Get up.
I feel like I need to do some Tai Chi.
Right? I actually got up and moved. And what did he do? He laid back on the sofa. He was here playing on his phone, and I
personal space.
Okay.
I get what you're saying with their lack of understanding of our version of what is rudeness.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've both written this down at some point.
Yeah.
But the idea that as you walk around, personal space is not a thing. When you get on the bus, personal space is not a thing. Somebody's ass will be in your face when you're sitting in the seat.
Right.
They will not consider.
They might have their crotch right in your face.
They will not consider that this is they just allow it to happen across every part of their activity. Like, no matter where they go, no matter what they're doing, it doesn't matter. And it probably comes from cities with populations that are far larger than they are in the United States, where people have for such a long time had to be basically walking around, living and breathing up on top of each other. Because, I mean, okay, how much personal space can you have if you've got 3 girls using the same squatty potty in school? At the same time.
They're all pissing in the same hole.
How much personal space are you really focused on?
True. I mean, I've had
2 boys going to the same toilet, squatty potty, at the same time. 3 of them, same time. Same stall.
Oh, no. Remember when I was in the kindergarten and I was teaching them the wheels on the bus and I said, shh, shh, shh. And 21 children ran to the bathroom at the same time and were all going in the trough at the same time.
So
21 kids.
Definitely personal space is just not. It's not viewed the same way.
Right.
So if you're standing there in line somewhere, the idea that, okay, there's someone in front of me, there's someone behind me.
Yeah, don't
the idea that you shouldn't be pushing up on me, behind me. I have nowhere to go.
Yeah, and they do that, but I also know why they do that.
I don't care why. They should not do that, because if I start throwing elbows,
I say
throw the bows. Oh yeah, of course you do.
Bows.
Yeah, you say throw the bows, but I'm the black dude sitting around here in China. I throw a bow at somebody and knock them to the ground, and there's blood everywhere. You'll be leaving China, and my ass will still be here.
No.
So totally different thing.
True.
But yeah, they will push you. If you don't move, they will go around you.
Yeah.
You know.
Or
they come up on the sides of you.
Or they don't necessarily go around you. They try to go through you.
Well, either way, if you yield, they're going to go through.
Right.
We saw that when my line brother was in Hong Kong. If you try to be polite, you're going to end up never really getting there, because they're going to keep cutting in, not thinking about you, and that maybe you were there, you've been there, being polite. Maybe they should just let you go. No. But that gets down to Chinese selfishness.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. In Benchi, I remember shopping with Ellen, and she and I were sitting there waiting for something, and she just reached over and grabbed my breast. Now, most people would be upset. This woman just grabbed my breast. This is my boss's wife, and she just grabbed my breast. And for me, that didn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, it bothers.
It doesn't bother me.
Because my boss reached over and tried to grab my crotch. I was telling you, he'd still be trying to get up.
Yeah, but 1, Ellen was my friend. 2,
girl-friendly you are.
It's just a boot for me. If it was like the taxi driver tried to grab my breast when he did that, I just about knocked him out. But when she did it, I kind of looked at her like, what the hell? But she said, I just wanted to see if they were real. Most women would have flipped out over that.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Because personal space. You don't invade a person's. I mean, because she could have gotten that same information by asking a question. She did not have to do that. She felt that it was her right to be able
to grab my body. Yep.
Violate your personal space, touch you in a way that was not invited, and then just to satisfy her own curiosity.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but we don't live that way.
Nope. And when I talked to our boss about the taxi driver grabbing me, he said, oh, he just couldn't control himself. And I said, would you feel that same way if he did that to your wife or daughter? And that was when it changed for him. That, oh, my wife and daughter have personal space, but so does she. But I don't have the same issues. Like Keegan, she really doesn't like it. Like, she doesn't like people sitting even next to her on the bus.
I don't either.
Woo!
Shoot. Okay, you get on the bus. Now, here in Foshan, or here in Sanshui district, the buses are rarely, like, full.
Right.
Okay? You can get on the bus just about any time of the day outside of, say, rush hour, literally going to work or coming home. The rush hours of the day, gas buses are going to be a little more packed, but the rest of the time, these buses are not packed. So I go, sit down in a seat, and a person gets on. There's only 5 of us on the bus, but they come and park their ass right next to me. Why?
Yeah, that's how Keegan is too.
Why did you sit here?
Yeah.
And then sit there and then talk about me.
Right.
It's like you could have set your ass back there somewhere or over there.
Yep.
You didn't have to come and sit next to me and then sit there and talk about me.
Yep.
That's why I wear headphones.
Goes back to I can speak your language.
But that's why I wear headphones.
Stop
because
then
I'm not listening. Then I'm not paying attention to what they're saying because
it'll just piss you off.
For a lot of foreigners, that's one of the things that caused them to be so angry. Why are you focused on me?
Right.
Why are you talking about me? The fact that I'm on the bus probably means I live and work here. I'm on the bus every day.
Yep.
I get the same surprised looks from the people that are at the bus stop every morning that I see every day for a fucking year.
Yeah.
And they still look surprised?
Yeah.
Why are you surprised? I'm here every day. You're here every day. I don't look surprised when I see you sitting there.
Yep.
That's to me that thing. That's the thing that gets under your skin. We live in an apartment complex where, for the most part, you come and go around the same times if you go to work. So you're coming and going. The people that you see, why are they surprised to see me?
I don't know.
Now outside of our little buddy that always wants to say hello to us, he runs over to say hello to us. Okay, fine. But he's not surprised either. He's just saying hello.
Yes, but that little boy, he fiercely stands up for the for the 4 of us.
I know, but that's, he's actually speaking to you.
Yes, he's
okay?
speaking to us.
Now, he doesn't have a whole lot more to say, but he's speaking to you.
Right.
He's waving. He's acknowledging you. Okay, fine. But the other people that are running, the children that run away, the woman that grabs the purse and walks, is the opposite of invading the personal space. She's walking 20 feet around you to get away from you, like you're going to do something, but you're here every day.
Yep.
They see you all the time.
Yep.
Why are you afraid of me after seeing me 20 times? I'm sorry, there should kind of be no fear. I haven't attacked you yet.
Right. Right.
And then, like our kids walk down, they do the same thing to them. It's an absolute ridiculous, awful feeling that we go through. Now, here's the kicker. This isn't just, say, black folks in China that are going through this.
No.
This is all the foreigners that are going through this.
Yep.
And that's the thing that I think gets under people's skin the most, is that you're just doing this because we don't look Chinese.
Well, we've had more of that whole running and screaming and clutching of the pearls type thing. We've had more of that here in Sanshui than we had in Wuhan, and than we had in Benxi.
That's true.
We never ever had that in Benxi.
No, we had people that almost got into car accidents gawking at us as we walked down the street.
We were like superstars.
No, we weren't like superstars. They were just gawking. They did the same thing here. The lady that almost fell when we were walking up, she was gawking. That's why she almost fell. She was looking at us, and she walked off of the sidewalk, off the path, and stepped off and almost fell down.
Yep. That's
like we didn't see her.
Right.
Sorry, lady, we saw you.
And then she did the awkward smile.
You're right. Then she did the awkward smile. I should have thrown a rock at her ass.
There are no rocks.
Pick up one of them tiles that don't stay down on the ground. Hit it with one of them square motherfuckers. All right, so do you have any more that you want to talk about?
I mean, I do have another personal space one, but it's on my list, so I don't know if I should do it.
Do you have the three? Three is what we're talking about. You already did your
I did
2
my
and 3.
Yeah,
so
mine was yes, I can
already.
speak your language. I live here.
Because I have one that's similar to that too, but I didn't bring it up.
Okay.
We'll just get there when we get there.
All right. I have another bus one. I have a Ditko inspired too. I have a couple bus ones. Actually, we might have to do a bus one.
Honestly, I don't know if the well, I don't care. All right, that's all you want to do tonight, or do you have another one that you just are burning to talk about?
I have some.
We've only been going for 55 minutes.
I think I have some, but I think there'll have to be another show because when I get you on these topics, it's going to be good.
It may not be good.
It'll be good. I know you.
It may not be good radio.
Here. After 17 years, I know you. These will be good.
I mean, I have a number 4.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 sort of goes with my number 3, because number 3 was Chinese people who get in my personal space, and then my number 4 is Chinese people who point at my food. So it kind of goes with the personal space, because the boundary that we normally observe is just not there. And you got people who are literally pointing. They're not pointing. They're semi-touching what you're about to eat. And it's like, why are you pointing at my food? My food doesn't look any different than your food, because usually, for me, especially when I'm at work, I'm eating vegetables.
Well, your food for them would be a novelty because you're vegan.
Okay, it's not a novelty, it's freaking vegetables.
Okay, Aaron, but they don't eat raw vegetables.
I don't give a damn, it's still just that they can recognize. They should be able to recognize what a freaking carrot looks like.
Okay,
they can recognize that it's a green bell pepper. They can recognize, I mean, these are all, we're not buying these things in some special store. We're buying them at the same damn store that they're going to.
Yeah.
The same market.
Yep.
So, why are they pointing at my food?
I don't know why.
Why are they almost touching my food?
Because they want to die?
Because, honestly, I will give you some. I don't care about that. But don't sit over and be like, ooh, carrot. Yeah, carrot. I'm so glad you know that word. Now get away from me.
Why do you let students in your office?
I'm not talking about students.
Oh, goodness. These are adults?
Yes.
No.
These things have very little to do with my students. Most of these things that are on my list have to do with, unless I'm focused on school at the moment, a lot of these things have to do with adults. If I go and take because I have to take my lunch to school, because I can't eat what's at the school, because they don't make vegan food. Okay, they put meat in everything and then tell you that they can either take it out, which of course that's no good, or
they can pick it out, not take it out.
Right, they pick it out of the food as you're getting it, or they give you some bland, because this is Guangdong, they give you this bland food that has no flavor, no taste, no nothing, and call that vegetables and
boiled bok choy.
Boiled bok choy and rice, and there's your lunch. It's delicious. No, it's not delicious. So I stopped getting all of the food from the school. Well, you're sitting there with your lunch. My wife makes a lunch. You hook it up. I get to school. I open up my lunch. It's full of vegetables, hence being vegan.
Right.
And some, there's a sauce, there's something on it, and maybe it's a wrap, maybe it's a salad,
maybe it's pasta salad.
Yeah, it's kind of simple. It's not that many things outside of hummus, which is different for them,
right?
Because there's not a whole lot of Indian restaurants around here, so if they're from this area, they're not going to experience, say, Indian food.
Well, hummus isn't Indian; it's Middle Eastern.
Well,
but they're definitely not going to get that here.
They're not right. They're not getting.
Oh, that would be a fun day to do an international food day with your kids. Do some hummus and tabbouleh.
That means we got to make everything.
So
wrong. Anyway, so you've got all of these people that are amazed that your food is different than theirs. Which to me would be obvious. I mean, if your expectation is, if you're going to be amazed that I eat Chinese food and I can use chopsticks, why would you be amazed if I eat something that is not Chinese? That should be your expectation. If the other thing is where you find amazement.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's part of the anger that a lot of us feel. I can't eat what you made because what you made is shit. So then I bring my own, and now you want to stick your finger in it.
Your finger that isn't washed, that's not had soap.
Washed? Why would it be washed? There's no soap anywhere.
Yeah. No soap in the bathrooms, no soap in the dorm room, no soap. They don't soap.
So, it's like, and they'll go and they'll damn near put their fucking nose in your food.
Yeah.
They'll sit there and be like, oh, what's that? Oh, and literally be breathing on and get their nose in your food over your shoulder. I've watched it go do it. I've watched him try to do it to Raisa. Raisa looked at him like, you get one more inch, and you're going to be picking yourself up off the floor because you're going to basically ruin my meal for me.
Right. And that's another personal space thing, because don't get too close to something I'm about to consume. Don't touch my bottle. Don't touch my water bottle. Don't touch my computer. Don't touch my stuff. See, I don't have a problem with someone touching my shoulder, being close to my body, but don't touch my things. Don't sit at my desk. Don't touch my computer. Don't use my coffee cup. I will flip the fuck out.
Yeah, well.
Touching my things is tantamount to using my toothbrush.
FYI, when you are not there, all of those things are being touched. Just so you know.
That's why my stuff is at home.
That's why you bring your stuff home. That's the only way that you can make sure that it's not, because there are many days where I come into work and I don't even have a chair. I have no chair at my desk. It's pushed somewhere else because the students have come in, because the students are there so late at night. They're in our office for whatever reason. They're being allowed to do things use the space. And so because they're allowed to do that, you'll come in and it'll be in quite a disarray. So basically that's why I work off my own laptop, and it comes home with me every day. I would not use a school laptop because basically if I tried to put anything on it, the students could then access it when I'm not there.
Yep. Yeah.
And they would. And
Absolutely.
they would get right on it because they can.
Yeah.
You know, it's not protected for the English speaker. It's essentially not really protected for the Chinese speaker.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I have the opposite with the food thing because I'm not vegan. I will eat fish and I will eat poultry. I will eat seafood. But here's when I get pissed. I ordered the same dish you ordered, dude. Why are you over here looking at my table? Why are you looking in my takeaway bag? It is not yours. You know it's not yours. Your food is on your own table. Don't touch my shit. Get away from my food. I have to eat this.
See, that's the personal space thing.
That's my personal space. It's because
back up.
It's because of my germophobia. I know your nasty ass has not washed your hands at all today. I know that you didn't use soap.
They did. They turned on the water and ran it under. They ran the water on their hands.
The ice cold water.
They ran the. There's no ice cold water here in southern China. They ran, and what does it matter? They ran the water over their hands after going to the bathroom.
The water you can't drink because it's got stuff that will hurt you.
Heavy metals are not dirty.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. You know, my favorite is when we go to places like Pizza Hut. And the kids and I break out our hand sanitizer, our wet wipes before we eat. Because we are going to eat with our hands. Because it's pizza and you eat pizza with your hands.
No, you don't. You eat pizza with a fork.
And they stare at us.
Isn't that what Mitt Romney did? Try to eat pizza with a knife and fork? You don't eat pizza.
But they don't use a knife.
You take the fork, you stab the pizza, and you pick it up, and you have a giant triangle over you, and you bite it until it's gone. And that's how you eat pizza in China.
That's how you eat steak in China, too. And that's how you eat chicken wings in China.
Yeah, just stab them with a fork and eat around the fork until it's all the meat's gone.
And you lay on the table.
You can't touch it with your fingers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see a Chinese person eating a Middle Eastern meal or an Indian meal.
Oh,
that'd be awesome.
That would be fun. They have to use their hands.
What was also awesome was watching kids in Wuhan have to wash their hands before they did anything in the
in
kitchen.
My classroom.
That was awesome too.
Yeah.
Then when soap was sitting there, you had to have instructions as to what to do when the soap was there.
Well, they also flipped out when I would make them take off their outside coats before they were allowed to cook.
Oh, that's a whole other issue, isn't it? Isn't that on a list somewhere?
It isn't actually. So
I have a feeling that it's not on my list either because we're not in the north.
List. Right, we're not in the cold. But I taught cooking in a private school, and I had grades 1 through 10 for this cooking class. And every day I would have different students. I never had the same kids because they wanted every single class in the entire school to try cooking at least once in the year. So every day I would have to tell the students, if it was cold outside, to remove your winter coat and push up your sleeves and wash your hands with soap and use paper towel and throw the paper towel in the bin that was next to the sink. Because these students thought that they could cook in the same coat that they wore outside, to sleep in the bathroom, in the classroom, everywhere. And they thought it was okay to cook in this thing. And bleh. They just have their hygiene is non-existent.
It's not true. They've got hygiene.
Bad.
It's just not the same as our hygiene. Our hygiene has soap and bleach in it.
Our hygiene has, toothpaste and deodorant.
They have toothpaste and deodorant.
They don't use them.
But they have them.
Aaron, those are
They do have them.
Those are for the foreigners. They don't use that stuff.
Come on now. They use toothpaste.
They have aisles and aisles and aisles of toothpaste. I've never seen a Chinese person buy it, though.
Yeah, but you don't see all the purchases made by by Chinese people.
I've been in the aisles a lot. 'Cause I buy 4 tubes at a time, one for each person.
Chinese people use toothpaste sometimes. I don't know how often they brush their teeth. That's in the north. I could tell you that small children probably don't do much to brush their teeth.
I don't think they
Because we
ever.
watch their teeth fall out of their head.
Right, we
and
watch them turn black into
and
little
fall out.
sticks.
So
and
we
fall
saw
out.
that.
Yeah.
But when their adult teeth came in, they were like beautiful pearly whites. So
Some of them.
I don't know. I never assumed that they didn't have at some point, adequate dental hygiene.
What about that taxi driver? You get in the car and he says, Zain Ali,
He says anything.
and you're like, oh, God!
Yeah, that's a whole other problem.
That's dental hygiene right there, man.
That chronic halitosis.
I think it went
The thing
way
that,
past that.
my coworker always says she can smell the gingivitis.
She can smell the gingivitis. That's it. That's it. That is it.
She can smell the gingivitis. Oh, that's so awesome. I can smell the gingivitis.
Yes.
Can you smell gingivitis?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
Yep.
that's just bad.
But you know what? It's and I was sitting here trying to think of the word. It's periodontal disease. It's past chronic halitosis. It's past gingivitis. They suffer from collective periodontal disease because when it gets to that stench, that foul decay smell, that is where the periodontal.
They'll have like the beautiful teeth. How can they have the beautiful teeth?
They're fake.
But they can't. I mean, even their gums don't look bad. So they can't have beautiful teeth and good-looking gums and have periodontal disease.
Listen.
Because there's a decay, there's a breakdown of the gum, right?
Where do you think it starts?
Yeah, but this is not the beginning. If you're sitting on the bus and you can be like, I can smell the gingivitis. I mean, come on now.
Oh God.
Oh, that's funny.
I remember having a patient that.
For anybody who thinks that they should get close to a Chinese person and have a private conversation and they're talking into your face,
Oh.
you'll understand exactly what we're talking
That
about.
day we had to go. Where did we go? Oh, to buy the children's plane tickets. And we're in the car with your assistant. I was in the car with your assistant. And he's shoulder to shoulder with me in the back seat. Don't ask me why the man was so close to me. He could have sat in the front. It was empty. And his breath was so
Personal
bad.
space.
His breath was so bad. I'm texting you saying, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. And it was not a joke. I already get car sick. And his breath was so horrible.
I was so glad that you got to experience
And he
that.
wanted to talk to me.
Yes, over and over.
In
A
my
lot.
face.
In your face.
And I had nowhere to go.
Up close and personal.
Oh, and he wanted to breathe. Why did he need to breathe?
Gotta hate it when people breathe.
Oh my God.
If you got bad breath, you should not be allowed to breathe.
I really wanted to just give him a mint, but I didn't even have any. I would have handed him the whole tin and been like, here, dude, a gift from me to you. But because I brush my teeth often, I don't usually have mints around.
I bet you start carrying them now.
I got them now. I got some fisherman's friend in my purse right this moment. Never leave
So,
home
yes.
without them.
So there you go. That's what I got.
Personal space.
Personal space. Stop putting your fingers in my food. Stop being amazed that I'm eating the same thing you're eating.
Well, you're not necessarily eating the same thing.
No, sometimes I am. Sometimes I am eating the same dish, like you said.
Right,
the
like
same dish.
eggplant
Stop being
tofu.
amazed that oh God, this guy is eating tofu. It's like tofu is not Chinese.
It's not.
No, tofu is all over the world. It's not, it's not like just you eat it. It's not just you in China.
You're not the only one who eats cabbage or eggplant
Yeah,
or
I mean all the stuff
broccoli and
that
garlic.
the same vegetables that made this stuff is what I'm eating every day.
Yep.
So, yeah. You want to be amazed? See me eat some meat. Now you can be amazed because that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would not be good.
So Yeah, I have a huge problem with that. All right, so are you done? Have you ranted enough? Have you gone off enough?
I could never go off.
We're at what are we at here? Hour 13, so we haven't gone that long. What you got? That's it? That's all you got? You don't need to do more.
Okay.
Don't need to do
I
more.
have more, but
of course you have more. We have lots more.
I have lots more.
We have and the list keeps growing. Yeah, there's a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, I added something today, didn't I?
I don't know. Did you?
I think so. When we were walking down to the hive.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember.
It was something when we were out. Maybe it was when we went to go get the wine for your Whiny Mondays.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, maybe that was when it was. But I added something recently.
Yeah, Whiny Monday. That should be interesting. Nobody likes Mondays, so Whiny Mondays should work out well.
Except for I don't drink wine.
Doesn't matter. You can still whine.
This is a wine-free zone.
I mean, think about it. Mondays are great for whining. Nobody likes Mondays, so.
I don't have a problem with Monday because my Monday and Tuesday are the same. I get to be at home.
Okay.
That's it.
Sounds good. Moving on.
Yep. We'll have to do another one soon because.
We'll stack them up.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.